Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Tom Short Rubbish, and we are going to talk about just about Tom's channel and his journey on YouTube, because he's doing some really good stuff at the moment. How are you doing today, Tom?
I'm really glad to be here, man. Like, I really enjoyed our previous episode talking about Wembley, and I'm just glad to chat to you again because we're buds now.
Happy to chat to you again, mate.
Yeah,
Good stuff lately, and you've got a lot of good stuff coming up. So do you want to talk about it?
yeah. So tonight, when's this going out, bud?
It'll go out in a couple of weeks, probably.
Oh, a couple of weeks.
I don't know. I'll let you know. It might go out today. It might go out in a couple of weeks. I don't know.
Okay, so if you're seeing this at the day we're recording this, I have an interview going up with Sean Rossap from Fightful.
Sorry. So
You
carry
okay,
on.
man?
Carry on. I'll mute myself. Carry on.
Yeah, I have an interview going up with Sean Rossap from Fightful, and I'm I'm super proud of that interview. I feel like we got a lot of good information out of that. Sean did say off camera that was probably the most in-depth interview he's ever done. As you know, Anthony, I have a segment called Generic Questions, and he said he loved that because now he won't have to answer them on social media, which was the whole gimmick. Do you know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah.
what else do you want me to talk about? So that's going up tonight at time of recording, and if this goes out in a little bit, it this will be you'll be able to watch that. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tom Talks Rubbish.
Like, what is your ultimate? What is your what is your long-term goal with Tom Short Rubbish? Would you like to do a partnership with Fightful or anybody else, or do you just want to be solo and do guest spots?
Yeah, that is sort of a two-pronged answer because there's two answers to that question. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
On one hand, if Sean sent me a DM today and said, "Look, I want to bring Tom Talk Flourish on to Fightful and you to host it, do everything you're doing, and everything like that," I'd be like, "Yeah, definitely, let's do it." But if Sean said to me, "I want you to do it, but then I book the guests, you interview who I want you to interview, you basically it's Tom Talks Rubbish, but it's in the Fightful mold." Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? If it
yeah,
became the way I'll phrase it is if it became ECW, but the WWE version. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
If it became that, then I'd be like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Because there is a certain amount of, you know, this, having your own podcast, a
yeah,
certain amount of creative freedom that you get when you're just working solo. And the other part that I love is if the editing's not done, it's, I've got no one else to blame.
yeah. I get that. Why do you think? Why do you think? Do you know? Because there's a lot of wrestling podcasts and a lot of interviews in particular. Do you think that makes? Do you think that makes your job easier or harder?
Again, there's two sides to that. There's because people know that wrestling YouTube channels, wrestling podcasts can be successful, they're more likely to want to come on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
but
then the market itself is so saturated, you've got to do something to try and stand out. Do you know what I mean?
at the same time, yeah. You know, you know the way certain podcasters are, yeah. If somebody has a bad experience on one podcast, you can sort of like ruin it, you can sort of like give them a bad taste in the mouth and that
Well,
kind
this is why I was so proud of getting the Sean interview because he'd said for the longest time, it wasn't your show. I know that for a fact, mate. I know he loves you, but
of
like,
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but for a long time I thought it was because when I look back at that interview, yeah, I wouldn't say it was a bad interview, but it was very like disjointed, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, totally. It wasn't your show. I know that for a fact because I came out and asked him. But he went for a while where he was like, I'm only going to do projects if they're with Fightful. And then when my 150th interview was coming up, I just reached out and said, look, I'm approaching this number. I'd love to have you on. And he said, yeah, let's do it.
Have you had any bad experience being interviewed or doing an interview, like really bad experience that might have turned you off?
What, when I'm being interviewed by someone or when I'm interviewing them?
Both.
So I've been very lucky. Like the only podcasts I've really done where I've been on this side of the microphone, like yours, the Give Me a Whole Year crew, and the Spotlight. The Spotlight was very fun because, full disclosure, my friend, I reached out to them and just said, look, I've got this interview with Sean going up this week. I'd love to be on the Spotlight if you're stuck for a guest to promote it. And they said, yeah, let's do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was fun. The Give Me a Whole Year crew are just class, aren't they? Like, always been very good to me. I know you've had similar experiences, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then me and you, it's just like hanging out with my friend. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And with you, yeah, I feel like I can talk at whatever's like. Obviously, the word kind were a bit where I was a bit rambly, but half of that is because I was dying to burp, and I feel really awkward. But obviously like burping on camera, so I've been trying to hold it in for a lot of the time.
I know what you mean, man. But yeah, me and you have done loads of podcasts together now, and it's just like hanging out with my friend. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but as regard to awkward experiences, nothing because of what a person has done. It's more my internet has crashed. That has raised my anxiety levels, and I've just been like, you know what, we're gonna have to reschedule because I'm too nervous now or too pissed off's too strong, but I know what I mean.
When I first started, the internet used to cut out of me all the time. I used to have to apologize profusely for it. So it's all part of the thing. It's all part of the experience, isn't it?
Exactly, man. I've learned to turn everything off now, though. Everything in my bedroom gets turned off when we're doing this.
Obviously, because you live with people, then I can imagine that. Sorry, I need to stop putting my arm in front of my face. Did that? Do you find that harder to make content? Because I know I do sometimes.
Well, like this morning, we're recording this at a reasonable time. I've just said to my family, look, I'm going to be recording for the next couple of hours. Can you just stay out of the bedroom? And that is the other reason why I try and record them sort of 9, 10 o'clock my time in the evening, because it's like the family would have done everything they need to do and bits like that. My carers would have done everything they need to do. If Amy's popped around, the odds are she would have gone home. Not, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Sorry, go on.
No, go on, man.
I'm gonna say, because you mentioned your girlfriend there, so I know you prefer to do like wrestling media interviews, yeah. Did you know when you first started, you did like personal interviews, like you interviewed your carer? So have you ever thought about doing a podcast about about your relationship, but being in a relationship with a disability? I know,
Well,
I
this is
know,
where.
I
This
know.
is where. Sorry, man.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, apologies.
This is where having good friends like Dom and your good self is quite cool, because Dom has got the other platform of wobbling about and rocking out, right?
Yeah.
So if I ever wanted to do something like that, I could just reach out to Dom and say, look, me and Amy want to do this. Could we do it for wobbling? Do you know what I mean?
I think that would be interesting for somebody to do a relate for somebody to do a podcast and talk about having a relationship either with somebody with either both of you with cerebral palsy or a disability or one or the other?
Say that again, man. The internet really went funny.
I said, I think it would be interesting to do a podcast where 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 one side of the relationship has a disability and one side of the relationship doesn't have a disability, or both sides have a disability.
That would be awesome. And I'm seeing her in the week. I'll ask her, but I don't know if that will happen. Do you know what I mean?
And I know being on camera, not for everybody, but I just thought that would be cool.
No, I'd love to do something like that. So it'll be something that we'd figure out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Obviously, with your birthday recently, so do you know, in now, like family outings or family gatherings, is it hard for you to balance recording and personal time?
So this is a story again that I told on the spotlight recently, where towards the end of, say, 2022, sort of like September, October, I was approaching doing 100 interviews. Huh?
Sorry, guys. No, don't worry. Somebody just came in the room. Don't worry, it's fine.
I was approaching doing 100 interviews in a year, and I became obsessed with it. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to hit that 100. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't care if the interviews were good, bad, ugly, everything in between. I was like, I just want to hit that 100. And I became obsessed to the point, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to be honest, that sounds really unhealthy, man.
It was really unhealthy. So now I will, like my birthday, I didn't record anything that week because I've got content, not to brag, till the first week of June. So I didn't need to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. As I said to you the other day in the DMs, if you ever want me to come back on your channel, I'll be happy to.
We'll make it work. We'll make it work, man. Like, I would 100%. But now you talking about that, planning outings, it's like I do, because for the longest time, I'm sure you had this when you first started, right?
Yeah.
You tried to plan everything around your guest, and then you would do whatever you could to make that happen, right?
Yeah.
Now I try and plan it for both of us. Like I know that 11 o'clock English time, 11 p.m. is my cutoff time. I can't start an interview after that because I know I'll be up till like 4 in the morning because I can't go straight to sleep after an interview, right?
Yeah.
And sorry, man.
All I was gonna say was, for me, if it's somebody in the States or like in Australia, for example, I do. I don't completely try and mold myself to their time, but yeah, but I do like to be considerate. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, I am. I try my best to be considerate, but I'm also considerate of myself now. And
yeah,
like, I don't stay up till like 4 in the morning editing. Like, I've got some editing to do when we finish this. Like, do you know what I mean? I try and balance things a bit more now.
yeah, like, just a little bit behind the curtain. I'm I'm currently in talks with Jeremy Lambert to do an episode, but obviously, like, two completely different time zones. So it's always
Yeah, and he's a great guy, and he's very
flexible.
considerate of other people, because him and Steven Jensen were both very considerate of, oh, you can't do this because of your carers or because of your work and mental schedule. That's fine. We'll do it this day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I always find that if I do an interview late, I normally just record it I normally just record it and then leave it, and then I work on it the next day or whatever.
That's the habit I've got into now. But I was so paranoid about my computer crashing in the night, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was like, at least if it's on YouTube, I can make it work. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and I imagine because of that, your episodes were starting to go down in quality. Because I
They
imagine,
definitely did, man. Like, I was, for example, the Kenny McIntosh one that I did. I can't remember when I recorded that now, but like, I said to Kenny, like, this will be out by 7 o'clock that night.
yeah,
And I was like panicking because my computer wouldn't work. Still managed to do it, but I don't think it was the best quality of episode.
you never say to a guest it'll be out at this time. Like earlier, like when you said when it's gonna come out, I was like, it's gonna come out tonight. No, actually, I'm gonna leave it for a bit. So it's all about run. Don't. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't run your channel for anybody else. Run it for
Now
you.
I've learned that, and that was a big lesson I had to learn at the end of 2022. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's your platform and your reputation online.
I agree, man. 100%. Oops.
So, so do you know, do you know the option was there for you to work with Fightful? Yeah, like obviously Fightful has has a big name in in the wrestling media space. So,
Mm.
so would you say if Sean came to you and said we we want you to interview that Harwood. You have to do it in our format. Would you have to consider it? Would you be like,
Definitely. It'd be something I'd have to think about, man, because you'd be a bit silly if you want to do something in wrestling media for the biggest wrestling media site to offer you something and for you to turn them down. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and at the end of the day, that's Harwood. You know, you know, you're gonna get a lot of, you're gonna get a lot of articles and a lot of tweets from me.
Exactly. So it is one of those where, again, you'd have to think about it. I might slip into Tom Talks Rubbish without realizing, but I do think, and this sounds a bit vain, and we are going to have to wrap this up in a minute, man, if you don't mind.
So apologies.
No, that's all good. But all I'm saying is, like, I think where I have built my own brand, quote unquote, Sean, Pit Cass, people like that are starting to respect my brand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. I'm not actually asking what they because when it comes to my stuff, I always feel a bit awkward asking people like, "What do you think of my stuff?" Because it's not that I don't want to know the answer. It's more of a case of it's more of a case of I. Let me say to you like this. I, I, apologies.
I know what you mean. Like you're doing stuff for you, which I totally get and I respect.
Like, like, say if somebody enjoys it, but if I don't enjoy it, then I just think thank you, but I don't really feel it. If you know,
Definitely. It's like a good friend of you know who I'm talking about. You know, Jacob Kelly that used to run My Social Life.
yeah, I know that you're talking about, yeah,
Yeah. He put a tweet out recently and was like, uh, if you're not enjoying the content you're making, think about how your audience is feeling. Because they can maybe sense that through the screen, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I completely. My penultimate question. What out of five, you out of 5 year time, yeah. Would you still like to be doing some talk rubbish?
Woo. That's a big question, man. If people were still wanting to come on, if the technology's still a thing, if do you know what I mean?
On the
I just take it day by day.
on the
I told
techno-
the I told the spotlight people this. Like, if I ever got disenfranchised with wrestling, with interviewing, with everything, the final few episodes would go up. I'd put a tweet, I'd put one of them note tweets that you see all the time, and I would just disappear. Because if this stopped becoming fun, there is no point me doing it.
yeah. But say like if you didn't enjoy wrestling, but you enjoyed interviewing still, would you move on to like just interviewing random people? Well, not random people, but
I know what you mean, though, man. Yeah, I would definitely. I don't know. I would definitely think about. You'd have to. You'd have to adapt, wouldn't you? Like, I would maybe think. Maybe I've got to start a new channel because people are so conditioned for wrestling on my channel. Does that make sense?
yeah, I can.
Uh,
I
I'd
can.
have to think about that one. But that's a good question. I don't really know, man.
I know for me, I love interviewing people from different backgrounds. I like one day having a pro wrestler on to tell their story outside of the ring, and then I like having a football like a journalist on to talk about football or what. To obviously talk about their career, but also talk about what they what they what they work in.
I agree, man. Like, but I do think to be a successful content creator, you seem to have uh broken this trend, and I'm so proud of you for that because you've grown so much. But most content creators, to be successful, you have to find your niche, don't you?
Yeah.
And I think my niche is people talking about people's wrestling fandom, and because I'm such a wrestling fan, that's just a bonus for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm in a very fortunate position where I can, not where I can do everybody can do whatever they want, but I've been able to find a way to make it all work for me.
Yeah, and you've done really well, man. And like I say, it's been great catching up. Like, been great to talk to you again. Like, I'm
My
so proud of you for everything you've done.
my last, thank you very much. My last question: how do your family feel like your channel? They what your stuff, or are they just like we don't know what he does in his room?
So my big family, like my mum and people really don't get it. But like my Care Direct family, who are like my carers and stuff, they love it. Like, they're always telling me like, "Oh, we watch this, blah blah blah." If I put stuff in our group chat, I know Amy really likes it because it's a way of us to stay connected. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh, uh, you mentioned like a year ago now that you had somebody recognize you in public. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Do you get that often or not
No,
really?
no, that was a fluke. That was a fluke, and it wasn't like they recognized me. It was the way I'll phrase it is I'll never be the guy that can't go to the shops. But when I go to wrestling conventions now, like Inside the Ropes, Comet, Wrestlecon, places like that, people know who I am there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is
That was
that
very weird. And the guy recognized me more because of Adam Pacitti, because he was like, if you'd Adam.
is that weird?
I was like, it was a bit, but it was almost like, yeah, I have. And I think we forget because you can get very lost in the view count, can't you?
Yeah.
And they can just become numbers. That real people are watching this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Not to make it about me, but this is the last thing I would say. I've noticed over the last couple of months from doing my MMA content, I see, I seem to be, I seem to get, I seem to be getting a lot more actual interest in me, and I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And for me, as someone that runs an interview channel, it's not about me. It's about the guests. It's like you mentioned my birthday. I was Cassie Haynes said to me, dude, it's your birthday soon. You should do an episode about your fandom. Do you know what I mean?
I get your standpoint, but
I was very hesitant to do that.
I think it's important for people to get to know you, because otherwise, why would people tune into your interviews when they, because, like, you know what I mean? Like, people have to get to know you.
No, I agree with what you're saying in a sense, but like one habit that I did really have that was really bad when I first started interviewing was talking about myself too much. So now it's trying to find that balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, if you got an interesting point or an interesting perspective on it, then by all means, share it. But if you're just talking for the sake of talking, I don't think that's a good idea. So
I agree.
anyway, Tom, I want to thank you for coming on once again, and I hope everything goes well with your channel. You want to promote it one more time?
Yeah, so you guys can find me on Tom Talk Trash on YouTube. If you're watching this the week we're recording, or even if you're not, I am on an episode of The Spotlight with Jeremy Lambert and Stephen Jensen on Fightful and Fightful Overbooked. Also, if you're watching this, please go over to Fightful Overbooked and support my new series, Loving Wrestling, where each month I will have a guest on to talk about why they love wrestling. And I've really enjoyed making that. If it's a success, it will become a monthly thing. And yeah, please check out my Sean Ross Sapp interview. And I will, and thank you for having me, Anthony.
No worries, Tom. Thank you for watching, everyone. I come already to go and support his channel. If I can, I will leave the ad in the title. So all you have to do is click on his name, and then you can go to it.
That'd be brilliant, man.
And thank you for the support, everyone. And I will speak to you soon. Stay safe.